Good afternoon, good people. You're watching Breadsy Entertainment. I am joined with the lovely Natalie. Natalie, how are we doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Good,
Busy, but
good,
fine, you know.
good, 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 good. So, Natalie, the word that's been thrown around at the minute is sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And when people think of sex trafficking, and obviously the PDiddy case and stuff, which we'll talk about as well, when I think of sex trafficking, I think of someone like grabbing girls in from wherever and then making them do stuff they don't want to do.
Chain,
Um,
sort of shackled and things like that. That's what I used to think of it.
yeah. But after seeing this, and obviously Andrew Tate case has brought this all out now. So now we're seeing that, and he isn't even accused of the actual, making them do sex work. He's actually accused of making them do TikToks,
Yeah.
coercing young girls into showing them how to make money on TikTok. And I believe he was moving people around. When you hear that, that just sounds that sounds crazy. That just sounds crazy. I don't understand it. It's obviously I've heard the term they use is the lover boy method, where you make a girl love you and then you make them do sex work. But you know, what's your take on
Well,
it?
a lot of it is down to money, isn't it?
Okay.
A lot of these girls are. I mean, they're flying on sort of private jets. They're being ferried around, from what I can gather, to all these. With Epstein as well. It was that money factor, wasn't it? They were being ferried to these beautiful parties and put in beautiful dresses, but then they were made to do what they were made to do at the end. And I think that's the difference, isn't it? When we think back to old sex trafficking, we think of shackles and so on, but now it's the allure of the party, of the dress, of the money, of the prestige. You can make a great video for social media and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're being coerced. They're being, yeah, coerced with riches.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference now, isn't it? It's
Yeah. What some people will say though, for instance, I know loads of these cases as well, exact situations. You have a influential guy that's either in the music industry, the movie industry, and he says to a young lady, for instance, if you want this job, if you want to guarantee get this job, I want you to go down on me or have sex with me and blah blah blah. Now, I've always said that's a bad thing. That's not a good thing to do to do that to women and stuff like that. But I've also always said that, if you choose to take an advantage in life by doing something for someone, like doing a sexual act for someone to get a job, you've actually taken a job from someone else. That's the woman that turned up, that worked just as hard as you, but wasn't willing to do it and said hell no and walked off. You are sort of taking, you're kind of stealing an opportunity of someone that maybe you didn't deserve. Obviously,
yeah,
obviously if you've done something, you deserved it. But
pat on the back,
yeah,
maybe a handshake.
yeah,
No, I know what you're saying. I totally get that, but they've given a service and they've received a service back. I think when it gets nasty is when they've done the service. In my eyes, sometimes they've done the service and then they've not got the job. Can you imagine?
yeah,
You fuming.
yeah,
You know, you've done what you've done. You thought, yes, I'm going to be in a pilot or whatever. And then all of a sudden they go, no, actually, we don't want you.
yeah.
And I think that's been happening a lot. I mean, the 1960s, they used to call it the casting couch, didn't they?
Yes, yes,
They would
yes.
turn up and they'd have to perform certain acts
Yep.
for a job. And then back then it was a laugh and it was a joke and it was, she got it through the casting couch.
Yeah.
Now it's coercion and possibly trafficking. So, we've moved, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, I just like it seems to me, and obviously what's going on, if you just look at the cases, people are coming out maybe 10 or 20 years later saying, oh, some so and so did this to me, sort of, he exploited me at a party and so on and so on. Um, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if there's violence and there's coercion, physical coercion, like you've made someone do something, then obviously, it doesn't matter. That could be 100 years. They should still be able to come forward and say, like, come out and say what you've done. But it just seems to me sometimes there are people that maybe, and this is what the guys will say as well,
Mhm.
is they put up with a load of bullshit just to sort when they were rolling in the money or whatever, when they were popular, when they were getting movies, when they were getting music, like doing their songs and stuff. But the moment it seems that some people will see it as soon as your career dried up and as soon as you stop making money, this is when you want to kiss and tell.
Yeah. Is it bitterness? Is it bitterness, or is it an actual assault?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've got to sort of define the difference.
Mm.
Um, because if if for instance I'd done that, and years later, and I'll be quite honest with you, and my career's, I'd go, well, I had a good career. I got what I got, and we did what we did.
Yeah.
Move on. And me and you have talked about this. I am very, very pro Cassie and
Yeah.
whatever, but it's it is what it is at the end of the day. If you've agreed to do that job, you've
Yeah.
agreed, and you've gone into almost like a contract, and you've sort of said, I'll do this if you do that.
Yeah.
If your career dries up after that, that's not their fault. And
But yeah, yeah. I mean, I tried to like balance it from both sides. Like, obviously, my straight opinion is if you're being a scumbag, basically, and like, for instance, let's just say, like, P Diddy, maybe he said to these girls, "Oh yeah, come to this party. I'm going to give you a load of money," and basically, it's a freak off, as he calls them. It's a free for all, and then he's got people doing stuff to everyone. Everything's going on in there. But I suppose the sneaky part is when you're recording it without people knowing, and then what's being said is that people are being blackmailed. Um, there's loads of other stuff where I'm not even going to talk about it too much, where ex-girlfriends have been killed and stuff like that. Like there's
we got to look at is it Jaguar Right?
I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
you're right. She was a songwriter, and she's now come out, and if you get a chance, have a look. She's come out and said a lot about what happened in the past and how certain passings have benefited other people.
Oh
And
yes, definitely, most definitely, yeah, mostly
you know,
definitely, yeah.
like, the ones that I can sort of say, she talks about the Aaliyah and Beyonce thing.
Hmm.
Once we lost Aaliyah, who was the person to benefit from it?
Mm.
Could be a conspiracy, it couldn't be, but it's something I've watched, the Jaguar Rat, and she's been talking about this for quite a while, and people have been saying that, oh, she's gone crazy, she needs sectioning, and then all of a sudden it's coming out that maybe some of this might be a little bit true.
Hmm.
I would say there's method behind the madness. Sometimes people embellish like madness. It's not madness, if you know what I mean. It's there's a fine line. They're
Yeah,
telling you the truth, but it's so unrealistic
yeah.
and so sort of out there that people are like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I must admit, this is how I was feeling when I heard it all about this P Diddy stuff. I heard about the parties, I heard about the secret recordings, and flying women over from all sorts of places, sleeping with men, sleeping with rappers, making rappers do stuff. And obviously, the one thing that I have seen that had made me feel very uncomfortable, one of the videos, is the Justin Bieber video when he's like 13 or something like that. That Justin Bieber video, yeah, that is real. That looks real bad.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just a baby, and I think as a mother or as a parent, you now look at him and how messed up he is, and how damaged he is. And they just don't. If it's true, if it's true, they have messed that poor boy up. I mean, yeah, he's got millions and billions of pounds, but he's a mess. I mean, wasn't he at Christmas walking around Scotland
mm,
in uh, flip flops and things?
really.
You know, trying to be one with God, which is fine. I'm all for religion, but maybe put some clothes, some a warm coat on, love. It, they've damaged, if it's true, they've damaged Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Take a joke. Justin Bieber's
Yeah,
music won't.
yeah. Some people are saying that he's. I think he made a song about it as well. He sold his soul for money, sort of thing as well. So obviously there's a lot in there, and people are obviously going back and listening to his music and sort of like
Big
um,
stats, aren't
take,
they?
yeah, putting two and two together. But I mean, one of the things that there's a couple of, I can't remember their names. A couple of boys that were in some old movies. Have you ever? Did you ever watch Lost Boys?
Oh, the Corys. Corey.
Corey's, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching. Obviously, that there's obviously stuff with them two
Mhm.
talking, and obviously they're talking about predators in Hollywood and stuff like that as well. And one of the things he was saying about is like the parents push them. They wanted like the parents are pushing the kids because they obviously it's like a meal ticket, isn't it? So like so parents are pushing their kids too much, and then the kids are feeling like if you're getting pushed by your parents, yes, go over to so and so's house and blah 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 when you're a young kid, which sounds crazy, but it's like it's something parents might need to think about. If you're because
Yeah.
they're kind of selling their children over because I can't think of any case where I'm going to let my 13-year-old son go stay at some rapper's house. That just ain't happening.
No.
That just ain't happening.
Nickelodeon thing as well. That was another one, wasn't it? That's another documentary. The
Mm,
kids from Nickelodeon, apparently they were sort of, there was some parties and there was a
mm,
certain number of staff that was taking advantage of them. And
yeah,
again, like I say, the pushy parents, as I call them, the what do I call them? The playground mafia. The
yes,
playground
indeed.
mafia. They go on,
Yeah,
smile,
yeah,
smile.
yeah, yeah. It's
No,
yeah, it. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you look at the high performers like Michael Jackson, Tiger Woods, and people like that, their parents pushed them to the point where it was nearly abusive. But
mm,
but look at the outcomes that they got. But some people will say, was did they lose a bit of themselves doing that a little bit? But that pushing your children sometimes there's a fine line because not everyone can make it at the highest level to where most people want to be in whatever industry, football, basketball, singing, whatever. Not every child can make it, and the sad thing is it's like you can have exactly the same thing as what everyone else has got, but someone else is just maybe they're lucky or maybe they took the big break. maybe they maybe they took the yeah maybe they took the deal with the devil, but it's difficult. But the Cassie video was talking about with P Diddy. I know you said you found that very hard to watch.
I found it very hard to watch. I found that moment where he dragged her down the corridor by her hair. That was it was triggering for me.
Mhm.
And the moment where he was booting her, and I won't say he was kicking her, he was booting her in the
Mhm.
head. It was so triggering. But the thing that annoyed me the most was when he was apologising, he never once said her name. He said, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the violence. I'm sorry for my behaviour. I'm sorry for this." He never once said, "Cassie, I'm sorry." But I've had this discussion with other people, and they've said, "Well, like you said, she sold her soul to the devil in a way because she stayed with him for 10 years, and she had the finer things in life." And I know women that have done this as well, and on a Friday or Saturday they've taken a good kicking
Yeah,
because he's come in and he's drunk or he's off his face or whatever. So to me, I could never ever do a deal with the devil ever.
Mhm.
Ever. You put your hands on me once, shame on me, shame on you. Twice, shame on me. It but there are women out there that would do it, like you say, that will stay with a man that is abusing them in some way. And then you've also got the other people that say, well, why don't you just leave them? But when you've got somebody like P. Diddy, how
yeah,
can you leave him? Because he's everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
who's
mean,
going to believe you? Who's
yeah,
going to believe that P. Diddy is abusing you? The only
yeah,
reason we believe her now is because of that video.
yeah. What's interesting though is it's like how has that video just resurfaced almost like miraculously just resurfaced? It's almost like that like people are obviously you had to get away with stuff like that. You have to have people in like police. You have to have people in power protecting you, and it just seems like now maybe he's been thrown to the wolves because why wouldn't that video release years ago? Like so like it just all of a
Exactly.
sudden Cassie makes a claim that video resurfaces. Surely that's very like that's a bit too much of a coincidence,
Yeah, I totally agree. But who's been sitting on it? Like you
Yeah,
say, who's been sitting on that video waiting for that very moment? And it sounds like it's the hotel because it's the hotel that have sort of said, here it is. We've
yeah.
got proof. So if it's the hotel, so were they protecting him because he was using their hotels and making them millions of pounds? And you know how when you palm, you grease enough palms, they'll turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, like you say, she's made this claim, 40 million. Was it 40 million? 40 million.
40 million, yeah.
40 million. And it's just miraculously.
He
And
settled the next day. Literally, she filed the claim 40 million. He settled the next day, so
did you know how much his bail is? His bail.
it's 50 million or so, and
Yeah,
that's a
no,
voluntary.
they offered Phil 50 million, and the judge said no,
Okay,
no. He's going. He's a flight risk, which
yeah,
obviously he is.
yeah,
He's got too much money. No,
yeah.
no. 50 million. I mean, murderers in America. I was reading that they average sort of even high cases, sort of 3 million.
Wow.
So if he's offered 50, what have they got on him? They've been building a case,
Yeah,
obviously.
definitely. And I think like all these celebrities that have been partying with Diddy and stuff like that. Like obviously everyone is scared now. Like he's had like politicians. He's had Obama in his place. So um, a lot of people are saying now that like he's basically a dead man walking. Like they can't afford to let
Yes,
him live.
they reckon he's the next step, Simon. They're like, we're going to find him.
Yeah, because and the police have these videos, thousands of videos, and it for me, like watching a lot of movies and stuff recently, and when you see like how like the sort of FBI will use sort of like collateral against people, like like if like they'll what would have happened is because like they said, the Epstein videos they've got thousands of them, but you've never seen one of them. So
No,
who's got those videos? And what deal did they make? So what happens is what someone was saying is I was watching some conspiracy guy and he was saying that look, someone will knock on these celebrities' doors and say, look, we've got this of you. You better play ball in whatever way we tell you, basically, And most of the time that's going to be political. Like a lot of these people have power. A lot of these people have like political power and no a fan base. Let's just say that can influence people and stuff. So maybe it's that, but I don't know. That might even just be something more.
do you think that's why Prince Andrew was the only one that was named in the Epstein case? He was the only one that turned around and said he'd got nothing that he could bring to the table as such.
Yeah. I don't.
He's the only one that's ever been named,
Yeah.
really. In
Yeah.
whether we know he's guilty, we know he's done it, or allegedly,
Yeah.
but he's the only one that got named.
I think there's a few names on the Epstein list, isn't there? There's a few names on there.
Not that they've taken them to court, because don't
Oh no,
forget,
no, no. I don't know. They
they
haven't
did,
taken
they
people.
did take him to court, didn't she? And he's had to pay restitution and everything else. So why was he the only one? What couldn't he do that the others could do? Because the others are.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I think the young girl. Obviously, she took pictures, didn't she? So maybe. And did she file the suit against them?
Yeah, she's the one that's filed the
Okay.
suit.
Yeah.
But again, it was that filing of that suit that I think more or less opened it all up. And then before you know it, I would imagine the FBI went, we're not going to be able to cover this.
Yeah.
This is, and what's her name? Maxwell. She's really taking the fall for it, isn't she?
Mm,
In this
mm,
Epstein.
yeah.
And I think she was. I mean, I don't know. I just think she was in love with him, like you say. That.
I can't. I can't. I can't. I mean, when you look at situations like that, and you see a young, pretty girl, and you see an old, pretty much like just a fat man, old fat man, is she interested in him? Is she interested in him, or is she interested in what he can do for her? You know, so I mean, if you offer, if you're able to offer money, fame, status, all that sort of stuff, these girls are going to come for you. But I think it's very important for these guys, these powerful guys, to remember, like, especially when, like, you're not necessarily a good looking old, you're an old man. No one's gonna, no one would pay, that girl wouldn't notice you in Tesco's, mate. She wouldn't notice you anywhere. Like, you
No.
wouldn't be on her radar unless you had money. Unless you, without the fame, without the money, no one's going to give you any time of the day. So some of these men do need to realize that, it's kind of like the girls are, they're settling for an ugly man for riches, basically. So her morals and her mindset is always going to be a certain way. So I think sometimes they find it weird when those girls can just turn off the emotions automatically straight away. They're like, "Don't you love me?" And like, shit, I love that money, but I don't love you.
Well, look, I mean, the perfect example there is, I mean, he's not an ugly man, is 50 Cent and P. Diddy. 50 Cent's girlfriend, Daphne,
Yeah,
he had the baby with,
yeah.
she was with him, and then all of a sudden she's with Diddy. And she's now being thingy for the sex trafficking as well, isn't she?
I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. So 50 Cent's ex girlfriend is with a Diddy, was she? And
Yeah,
she's making it.
she was with 50, then she went with Diddy.
Wow.
And 50's got a child with her, and now he's got sole custody. And the best thing is, if you ever want any news about things like that, go on 50 Cent's Instagram, because he's amazing. He just doesn't care. He's got no filter. It all just comes out.
Yeah.
And like, you're a sex worker and this, and he's really sort of ripping into this Daphne. But she obviously had been with 50, and he'd done what he could do for her.
Mm.
This is what 50's saying. I did what I could do for you, and it wasn't good enough. So you went to P. Diddy. And what you ended up doing, allegedly, is procuring young girls to be sex trafficked.
Yeah. And and I'd like to go back onto the sex trafficking title because I think it's so important that people sort of really think about that because, like, it's very easy to fall into that niche. It's very easy. Like, um,
Just
it's
bring.
it's a it's a real difficult one, like, because obviously, like, I'm in OnlyFans management and stuff like that for me personally as well, and it's like you want to be very careful, like, you do really want to be careful, but you don't know where the line is. I mean, for me personally, I approach people that are doing OnlyFans normally approach me and they ask me to help them with their pages, and that's what I do. But it's very easy to sort of, like, for instance, I know of a girl that done something with some other collaborators, and she sort of felt pushed aside for whatever reason after she done her collab, and then she ended up making a case against them, like saying that she was sort of coerced into it. So it's right or wrong, but that's very scary. Can you imagine if you decide to do a collaboration with another girl and her husband or something like that, and then, like, you say that, oh, I felt like maybe I was coerced into it a little bit. Like, they're now facing, like, they could face a sex trafficking case now, like, where they've coerced you into doing this sort of video. So it's a dangerous world out there at the minute.
And also, I look at it as, if you take a friend to a party. If
Mm,
you take a friend to a party and you end up sort of, in a better party,
mm.
and you've took them there in a taxi, is that sex trafficking?
It could be. Imagine it could be, because if you take someone to the wrong party and something happens to them, and they
Yeah.
say that this person lured me there or whatever,
And she knew what
it's
was going to happen, or and she's been before, so she knew, and blah blah blah. So is that procurement,
yeah.
procurement, and sex trafficking?
Yeah, yeah, and I know. The sad thing is, that's really common for kids to set other kids up with in them situations. Like, I've done loads of interviews where, like, girls were lured to a party by their friends, and as soon as they've walked in, they've been grabbed, and their friends were pissed off, basically, and then they were sort of stuck in that house with some strange man. Like, that's a real common situation that happens. Like, it's very
There's a lot
sad to think
of
about.
within this, the social housing, not the social housing, the social care housing for young
Mm,
children. There's a lot that goes off in there, I mean, I've got a friend who's she's been on This Morning and interviewed. She was in them in the 1970s, 1980s. She was in these really bad ones that were in Nottingham, and how they used them for these, almost like the Jimmy Savile situation.
Yeah,
And it was other children that were in the homes taking the younger children. So we know it happens,
yeah,
and it's just a sad fact.
yeah. Yeah, but it's a strange one, and like it's really because obviously you just have to be very careful, and especially as a guy in this industry, you have to be very careful because like you're at the mercy of whatever someone says. If they feel unhappy about something, like they can just come up and say their own truth almost, and then like you're in a situation where you're screwed almost, like so it's very important to sort of, and it's not just men that affected, women as well, because like I said to you, so I know someone has got a case against a woman currently
Mhm.
now, and her husband. So it's a strange one, this trafficking business. But yeah,
I always
undoubt.
say that I'm responsible for what I say, not the way you take it. So something that could be said as well. You could say something jokingly, and that person takes it as you know takes it wrong, and you've propositioned them or something like that. So you have to be careful with what you're saying, how you're saying it, where you're going, what you're doing. You
That's,
basically.
that's the story of a man. That's the story of a man's life. Every man has to deal with this, like and every man has to learn the lesson. Like I can tell you countless situations where I've been around women and stuff, and they've been flirty. They've been making their jokes. They've even grabbed my ass or whatever, or grabbed my arms and said, "Oh, your arms are really big" or whatever. And maybe I might have like said made one comment or something, saying or something like that. Just giving exactly back the energy that I've been given, and then it's been like, oh wait a minute, why are you being like that, sort of, So that is something that most men have to deal with. Will get shamed at one stage in their life. Women get away with it. I've seen a video of this woman where she's literally just grabbing this guy's dick, basically. Like this guy's doing his posing. She literally grabs his penis, like and it's right. It's actually I saw it on. I think I saw it on X actually. This guy was posing, doing his muscle poses and stuff, doing pictures, and then these women were just like getting a bit too hands on. But like, can you imagine a man grabbing a woman down there? Like,
Oh,
it's this
don't
is
trust,
what.
don't trust us.
I'll grab them there, yeah. But they let you.
Yeah,
Apparently, they
this is
let you
what
when
I'm
you're
saying.
famous. Apparently, they let you when they're famous. When you're famous, they let you do it.
Well, I think this is come full circle again, hasn't it? We're back on the casting couch.
Yeah, I know. What did you make of Trump and Kamala when they were doing their little versus battle?
Um, I think he's absolutely bonkers. I think he's just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
But I do believe that the Americans have got a tricky situation because they've got two candidates,
yeah,
and I
I know.
don't think either of them
Yeah,
are up for the job. So
yeah,
it's the devil in the deep blue sea. I mean, he's absolutely bonkers.
yeah.
But then he's not Keir Starmer talking about sausages.
Yeah, I think with Trump, the only positive I would say is that he wants to end that war in Russia and Ukraine, because that thing scares me, because like if we keep pushing, like Ukraine's asking us now for weapons that they can directly go and fire at Russia, like with our help, it'll be I think it's guided missiles or something, and apparently they can't. Ukraine don't have the power to do it by themselves. So if we effectively, we will be bombing targets in Russia, and Putin has said, if you do
Yeah.
that, you do that, it's on. And people are saying, like, Piers Morgan is constantly saying, "Oh, Putin, he's never going to use nukes and stuff like that because he knows the moment he uses them, he's going to be destroyed, basically." Which is a fair assessment, to be fair, but you still don't want to be playing Russian roulette with millions of people's lives, like So that's the only positive I would say from like getting Trump in, like and I almost want him just to come in and go, but if you can't beat Kamala Harris, then you don't deserve to be there. The people are, and in America, it's like it doesn't even matter if it's Kamala or Trump. It's red versus blue, and it's like it's so deep. Like
Mm.
I'm hearing people talk about this is dividing families now. Like it's dividing families like this. Like, you know, so if you're on the red side, if you're if you're on the red side, then you vote red. If you're on the blues, apparently there's like 5% of what they're actually trying to target to try and swing over. But yeah, we went full circle over there. But
No,
final
but
words. Yeah,
just going back to the Ukraine thing,
yeah.
because that actually, you know, the other subject we was going to talk about, the winter fuel.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, you're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So apparently, the UK is sending 600 million over to the Ukraine for arms and help and food and whatever for this war,
yeah.
and yet we're taking off allegedly the winter fuel.
Mhm.
As a mom, and if I was running the country, I'd be at that point where I'd go, put that back. We can't afford it.
Yeah,
We can't afford it. Put it back. We're not giving you we can't give you 600 million because we haven't got it. We haven't got it because we can't even give it to our elderly.
yeah. I
So,
think when you hear about like, you know, when you hear about like us giving Ukraine money for weapons and stuff like that, there's actually a bit it's actually a bit deeper than that, because what it is we don't physically give them that money. We do deals with gun companies that send them the money, and it makes you wonder whether there's a little back. This is where we're talking about
yeah,
backhanders in politicians going, like, you know, so people are in, so politicians could be encouraged almost. Imagine that you said they got 5% of the what was it you said, some of them they've got 5% of, when you're talking
Shell,
about the
the
shell, yeah,
fuel.
the fuel,
Yeah,
yeah. So imagine some of these politicians have got like a small percentage, a silent part, or got a family member that's got a small percentage of these arms dealers or whatever. um you know, it's very you know, it's very sneaky. Like it's all backhanders and stuff like that. That's what they say, you know, whoever's funding these guys, they have to do is what they say. You know, they get their money from these people and they have to do what they say. So if some arms companies say, look, you know, we're going to give you 200 million to get you in power, blah blah blah, whatever it takes, you need to make sure these bills pass, you know. Then they got to do it. They even, like, especially in America, people are saying like it don't matter. People are saying right now on both sides it doesn't matter, because both sides are taking money from the same super PAC of people, and you know, they're going to do what they're going to do what they say, basically, you know. So yeah, but about the winter fuel, yeah, in hindsight, you know, taking money off people, you know, it seems yeah, it seems really low, to be honest with you, taking money off people. But I'm not sure with the winter fuel. They said they were taking the money off the pensioners. I'm not sure if it's all the pensioners or if it's the pensioners that are earning that have got savings or earning a bit of money or something like that. That's what I heard. Someone was trying to counter argue at that point, but I am not entirely sure. On our next one, we'll do something about that and
yeah,
talk about it to get it
definitely.
confirmed. But yes, overall, final thoughts on P Diddy, and you think he's guilty for one? Let's say that is he guilty, and does he go to jail? What happens to him?
I think he's guilty of greed. I think he's guilty of egotism. I think he's just got bigger than himself, and he's stupid, and he's mad, and he needs locking up.
Yeah. Um, I would say, like, you know, for these guys that are famous, they're super famous. They're super, like, he's a PD's a billionaire. You know, they got so much money. I think people need to be very careful with the deals that they take in life. Like, you know, if you go to like, you know, there's no secrets. Like like a lot of these people, like there's comedians are making jokes about P Diddy parties and stuff like that. So it's well known what goes on in his circles, and I think people are willing to sort of roll the dice almost for on their career or money, might be whatever it is, to stay around these places, or maybe they're going there for fun or whatever it is. But you know, but P Diddy recording it and then using it, so apparently using it to sort of bribe people, that's not a good thing, you know. So
They
um
reckon the ones that weren't involved. I mean, you don't know whether it's true. Is like Eminem and that side of it, because he's been
yeah,
calling it out for 30 years. They reckon.
wow, well, yeah, yeah. Eminem's on 50 Cent side, and 50 Cent's hated
It's
Diddy.
like the news. You've just got to go. Anything happens in that sort of
Yeah,
industry, that's where
yeah,
you've got to go. You've got to go to 50 Cent's Instagram, because not only is it quite funny,
yeah,
he just hasn't got a filter.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. He's not scared of no one, basically,
no,
and
it's
that's a
not. It really isn't.
yeah, and that's a sad thing, you know. It's a sad thing that there are people that actually can't even come out and say their piece because they, you know, there's no joke in America, you know. And P Diddy, he's very very like you know he's literally at the top of the top of certain sectors, you know. So you know you have to be very careful what you say.
Just a quick one. Do you think that it will impact Biggie and Tupac's music? You know, because
Yeah, I believe he owns the rights to it, doesn't he? Something.
yeah. So I mean, I admit I was listening to my iPod was on shuffle, and a Biggie song came on, and I flicked it off. And I
Mm,
went, oh, no, you know, and you know that legacy
yep.
if is ruined now.
I heard someone say the other day that when it's a RICO case, the
Mm.
FBI take or whoever's prosecuting you, well, it's the FBI. The FBI take they own everything that you own. So they own the cars, they own the money, they take
Oh,
everything. So everything that was his, if he's found guilty of a RICO case, is now the FBI's, and it will belong to them. So that'll be so. I don't know how they distribute that money. I don't know whether they sell it off. I don't know. I don't know what they do with the money. I don't know. Like, what do you do with £1 billion, like £1 million mansions? What's going to be really sad is if it's a RICO and they take every single penny. Like, how's his kids going to eat? Like, how's his kids going to live? Like, you know, how? Like, I imagine people like that are. They have people that are responsible. They have people that rely on them for their paychecks. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so you know it's going to be a difficult one. But if he's found guilty of a RICO, a lot of people are saying that you know he's not going to be found guilty and maybe he'll be found doing something else. But a lot of people are saying that you know he's too smart and all the rest of this stuff. But
He was
the
rocking on the Cassie thing. I'm sorry,
yeah,
but
I
then
mean
I was like,
the beating thing, yeah, the beating thing is yeah, it's not that's inexcusable to be fair, and it's on the camera, and you know, would you take that beating for 40 mil?
done it for less.
Hey,
Done it for a lot less.
come and kick my ass for 50K.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Done it
Wow,
for
that's mad.
free.
That's
But
not
yeah, I
funny.
know what you're saying. It's a scary thought that he might get away with it, and if he
Yeah,
has it,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. They say that the FBI have got 100% conviction rate. So when they come for you, they very when they shoot, they very rarely miss. Like you know, I think they've got like a
I
good record.
I think that's what it was. I think the Cassie thing literally opened it all. They were ready, they were waiting, and they were just waiting for that touch paper to be lit. And I think that Cassie was the touch paper.
Yeah.
And
I see it as like, you know, he fell out of favor with the wrong people. Like people were protecting him and he just fell out of favor, or maybe he just became too much of a like, you know, it became too hot to handle almost.
a handful.
Yeah.
He was egotistical, and maybe he couldn't be controlled.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they're saying that it's bigger than him now as well, isn't it? There's somebody bigger than him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll sit back and wait and see. Natalie, it's been emotional.
Thank you.
Anything planned for the rest of the day?
Oh, I'm going to play. I'm going to play on OnlyFans later.
Lovely. You had to squeeze that one in, yeah. All right, you have a good one.
Quick one.
All right, speak to you later. Have a good one.
And you,
Yep.
bye.
So I'm saying bye to you. I should be saying bye to the audience. Guys, thank you for tuning in and have a great day.